Hello everyone, Silent here and welcome back to another episode of Bug Rock of the Week. Today I'll be showing you 6 really massive issues within Minecraft Bedrock Edition that you probably don't know about. These issues can cause supreme lag, world corruption, and can basically kill your world early, and you probably have no idea that they exist at all. These issues have kind of been flying under the radar for quite some time, and if you run a server or a realm, or if you play on multiplayer at all, a lot of these are going to be very important for you to know about. That way you can reduce lag wherever you are playing. The first issue of today's episode is actually a new one in the 1.17 update, and this has to do with glowing signs. These things are extremely laggy, so of course one sign isn't going to be enough to bring down your frame rates, and I have 35 of these, and as you can tell, there's not really any frame drops, maybe like a couple. So now we have about 70 of these signs, and I can definitely notice the frame drops on my end. I'm not sure if it's going to come through on YouTube's end, but it definitely feels very, very choppy. It feels like the game is actively struggling. I don't know how many signs this is, but I can definitely feel the framiness. I'm getting like maybe 10 FPS over here. It is very, very choppy. It's very laggy, and if these signs were not the glowing variety, then they would not have any issues rendering at all. This issue is purely with the glowing signs, and I would like to run a little bit of an experiment. I'm wondering if the more glowing text the sign has, the laggier it is. My hypothesis was correct. The more text your sign has, the laggier it is. This is only 20 signs, and I can already feel the frame drops. Okay, so this is definitely very, very, very laggy at this point, and I have a good computer. I have a GTX 1080, and it is struggling to render all of these signs. Now, keep in mind, the lag is only present when these signs are actually on screen, so if you look away from them, all of your frames return and everything is perfectly normal. Looking back at the signs is just instant lag. So pro tip for you, and this is something that I didn't know until I just tried it out randomly, you can actually unglow a sign by clicking on it with a regular ink sac, which is a really cool thing. I didn't think we had a way of unglowing them, but yes, simply click on all your signs with ink and that will remove all of the lag that they create. I've done that for this entire batch of signs right here, and as you can see, the frame rate is completely normal. So this is kind of fun. The signs are currently unrendered, which means that, of course, they're not causing any lag. If I move just a few blocks forward, instantly no frames. It might not seem like that big of a deal to have a couple, signs around your world, but it really, really is. Now, keep in mind, these signs are still rendered even if they are behind blocks, so if I'm even looking at this hillside, those signs are still rendered, which is still causing me client-side lag. So signs are rather obvious, and you can tell that those are like lagging out your game fairly easily. However, a silent killer of Minecraft worlds is maps. Maps are actually very, very laggy and can artificially inflate the world size significantly, causing your world to lag out and die prematurely. So, for example, if you open up a map anywhere in the world, that is of course going to give you the standard 0.4 version. However, Bedrock Edition automatically populates all of the higher levels of the maps as well. So you didn't just create one map, you created 5. You created the 1.4, the 2.4, the 3.4, and the 4.4 levels of that map, and these are now stored within your Minecraft world. There's no way to access these or delete these, and even if you destroy the map items, all of that data is still hidden in your Minecraft world files, and you have to use an external program to actually delete it and remove it all. Foxy No-Tail has created several tools to actually trim this excess data from your world, and you can seriously have several hundred megabytes of data in your Minecraft world. For example, our fan servers oftentimes have like 400 to 500 megabytes of maps. One of the worst things that you can do for your Minecraft world if you have a lot of players is this starting map option. It gives every new player that joins the world one map. And then what do you do with that map? You open it, and then that creates 5 larger versions. Maps are bad. Just don't use maps that much. They're fine in moderation, but don't have a lot of these. You know, with the amount of times I've demonstrated this bug and opened maps for various tutorials, I wonder how much of my world size is just random maps. This next one really is very important and might be causing you a lot of lag and you not even notice it at all. So this has to do with hoppers pointing into full inventories. So for example, if you have a chest that is full of items and then you have a hopper pointing into that chest with items in it, it's going to be trying to consistently put items into the chest even though it cannot. If you have a lot of hoppers with items in them pointing into full inventories, it's going to cause some extreme lag. I did a little bit of testing with it and this area is very laggy. This is not frame lag, but I'm gonna press E right now to open the inventory, and as you can see, we're a solid 10 seconds in, and now the inventory opens. If we try and break a block or let some water flow or anything like that, as you can see, it is so much delay. Granted, I have hundreds of hoppers pointing in the chest, but that is the point of this video, to exaggerate these things. That way you can see the full implications of how much lag these actually cause in your world. I mean, look at that. That is lag. That should not be that slow. It's absolutely ridiculous. There it goes. You got it, water. You're not molasses. You can do it. There you go. One more block. You got this. I'm rooting for you. It don't got this. So to boil down this bug for you and to make it as simple as possible, this is an inventory. Anything that can store items is considered an inventory. The easiest way to have this bug happen is to just fill up every single slot of that inventory with one item, and then any hopper that you have pointing into that inventory is going to try and, you know, stack an item with every single slot in this chest. So it's going to be searching all 54 of these slots and trying to stack items with these bricks. But if we put some cobblestone in here, it's going to be trying to make every single one of these 5 slots stack with every single one of these 54 slots. Now, this isn't so bad on a small scale, and if you power that hopper so that it's locked, it's not going to be doing anything at all, so that is how you can easily avoid this issue. So of course, your storage system in your world likely has hoppers pointing into chests, and then when the chest gets full, so does the hopper, and then the next chest gets full, and then the next hopper gets full, all the way up until the line, until the entire system has full hoppers pointing into full chests, causing a fair bit of lag. So if you have a huge storage system and it's actually full of items, then that storage system is going to be causing a lot of undue lag. This next one specifically affects servers and realms, and it's actually one that you would never ever expect, but does have a real tangible effect on the server performance and lag around the world. So this bug has to do with the individual player's render distance on the server. If the player's render distance is higher than the server's render distance, then it's actually going to cause more lag on the server, and it's going to use up more server resources, which doesn't make any sense. So I got a whole group of lovely people over here, and we're going to try out a little bit of an experiment real quick. Everyone is going to lower their render distance to the lowest that it can go, and we'll see how the server performs, and then everyone is going to raise up their, render distance, and we'll see what happens. So I'm setting my render distance down to 8 chunks, and this server lives on a 12 chunk render distance. So we are testing this kind of spaced out from one another. That way we, load or unload less chunks or more chunks of the server. So everyone is currently lowering their render distance down to the bare minimum. So now we're gonna raise our render distance to the maximum that it can go. Go to the max. This does have a tangible effect, and we've tested it very thoroughly on truly Bedrock. Everyone spread out, and they lowered their render distance down to 8, and the server was performing amazing, and then everyone raised their render distance up to like 80 chunks, and that just completely tanked the performance. So this does have a tangible effect on the game and on the performance. Ideally, you want your render distance to be the same or lower than the actual render distance of the world, so keep this this in mind. If you have players on your world that are playing on 80 chunk render distance when your server's only got 10 chunk render distance, they are actually going to be contributing to a little bit of the world's lag. As you can see, the CPU spiked it to 40% after everyone raised their render distance, and now that I've told everyone to lower their render distance back down to 12 or below, the usage of the CPU has dropped dramatically. So that right there is a pretty massive drop, and as you can see, if you have a lot of players on your world, this might really affect the overall performance of your Minecraft world and server. Of course, another massive source of lag for your Minecraft world might be the simulation distance. Of course, the higher the simulation distance, the more chunks around every individual player are actually loaded. So on a 12 chunk simulation distance, a 25 by 25 diamond of chunks is loaded around every single player, and of course on a 4 chunk simulation distance, a 9 by 9 diamond is loaded around every player. So that alone is going to make the world use up way more resources, and you're going to be loading way more chunks, and things are going to be happening in way more chunks around your world. This issue is completely compounded by the fact that the Bedrock Edition database is not really optimized in a good way. So a block right here could have its data stored somewhere completely different than a block that is directly next to it. So when you're doing things on a higher simulation distance, Bedrock Edition is going to be searching through a much larger part of the world's database to find information that it needs, causing even more server performance and lag issues. And one last tip for you in today's video, try to keep your world size below about 2 gigabytes. Above 2 gigabytes, Bedrock Edition has a pretty hard time running the world, at least from my personal experience. It's going to be extra clunky, extra laggy, and there's just going to be inexplicable performance issues with worlds above 2 gigabytes. So obviously, the more you explore the world, the more maps you create, and the more items and stuff you have, the larger the file size of your world will be. So try not to explore the world as much. Don't go like 20,000 blocks off in the end dimension or map the entire world and generate every single chunk, because that's just going to artificially inflate your world size for no good reason. And once you get above 2 or so gigabytes, then Bedrock Edition is just going to have a hard time running it, and running it in a good, smooth way. So I hope that this video has been informative to you. I kind of think that this should be mandatory watching for anyone running a multiplayer world or server or playing on multiplayer, because a lot of this stuff is like really easy to avoid. Don't use glowing signs, don't have hoppers pointing in the chests, and don't use maps basically. Like, so much of this is very basic, but it can have a massive impact on the world performance and on the lag of the worlds that you're playing in. So I hope that you have enjoyed today's episode. If you have, then of course share it around with as many people as you can. That way everyone's got the good information and they can help their worlds run more smoothly. If you enjoyed the video, then make sure to leave a like, possibly subscribe if you are new here, and otherwise I'll see you down in the comment section and in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and then there was silence.